I'm about ready to take the gloves off.
Pretty easy for me to take it away, seeing as the Warriors are just giving them out. Just turnover here, turnover there. But you know what? Something to be said for this group being a damn show. Not that we didn't already know that, but it's like clockwork. They fall down by 20 at home. They just yuck all over themselves in the first half of almost every game. And you're sitting there. What was the score at halftime? 63-46?
They were down 17.
Right?
I should have live bet that ass.
And you're like...
I was on a heater yesterday, too.
63-46. And I was thinking to myself, and you heard me on the show yesterday, I'm like, no more home losses. That's the key.
Yeah.
And I would have bet a healthy amount. They're not losing any more home games. And they're down 63-46, and you're like, there's just a weird emotion I don't know how I can describe. It's like, well, that's not the way the script was supposed to go.
No.
And not in a way of like, oh, I'm disappointed they're going to lose. It's almost more confusing. It's like, I reject this. But, God, they look awful.
Yeah.
And, my God, they're down by a lot of points. So I don't see how the hell they are going to follow the script. They're supposed to win. This isn't adding up. And then they played 1 minute in the second half. I'm like, oh, forgot.
Yeah.
They're winning this game.
Yeah, that's kind of the way it happened. DiVincenzo with a tip dunk.
Oh.
DiVincenzo with a restaurant quality back cut for a layup. Clay hits a three. Yeah, Jones answers with his own three-pointer. But after that, it's more DiVincenzo. It's Draymond Green. It's Clay from three. And even though they were still down by 11 at that point, it felt like the tide was turning,
Uncle Mo had a Warrior jersey on, celebrating women's empowerment. And I'm glad you brought up Dante because, he had the first, that driving backdoor layup was also an and one. And he hit this. He had the first 5 points of the second half. And the very first one was that follow dunk, and it just lit the crowd up.
Yeah.
So you're still down 15.
15.
But it was like, like everybody was there. Everybody's locked in and engaged. So he deserves a big piece of the credit for this.
He does. And it's funny you say it the way you said it, because even though they did come out and Dante DiVincenzo, even though he had the first 5, that only cut it to 12. And they actually never took the lead in the third quarter.
Correct.
So even though it felt like, they came out of the locker room and they won the game in the first minute of the third quarter, they were down 9, they were down 11, they were down 8, they were down 10 with 3:47 to go in the quarter.
Right, but
they cut it to 9, they cut it to 8. It was back to 11 with 2 minutes to go, but I had the same feeling as you, though, Mark. Even though they were down 11, it felt like the Warriors had control of the game.
And wasn't it the end of the third quarter where you had the GP2 tip away that Jordan Poole grabbed and dunked? Weren't they down 4 right before the end of the third? That play? Because it was Warrior ball, and they were down 8. And it was like, okay, it's about 20 seconds left in the quarter.
Down 6 at that point.
Well, no, they scored. They scored to go down 6, and then there was the steal, and they go down 4, right?
Yes, correct.
I'm like, oh, this pup.
It's over.
It's over.
It's
over. They're down 4, going to the fourth quarter. I still remember the moment. Jude's getting out of the shower.
Yeah.
And I'm like yelling in the living room, and he's like, Dad, what's going on? I'm like, cut it to 4, Jude. They're going to win.
Towel off.
You're right. They hadn't even gotten even yet. And I knew they were going to win the game.
Minute 52 to go. Ingram hits a free throw. They go down 11. And it's Curry from 28, Curry from 32, Curry from 27, and then the Poole play you're talking about. They score 12 points against, it was 4 points the other way from New Orleans, but it was Curry.
Oh, man.
And then the tip away dunk for Poole. And they're still down 4, by the way, but it felt like they were in command.
What a complete bunch of nut jobs.
Totally,
Can we
right?
just talk about this for a second? What a complete bunch of mad scientists, this team. Have you ever, and I guess maybe the answer is yes, I don't think this was like the ultimate moment or something, but have you ever been any more ticked off, turned off, frustrated than you were at halftime yesterday? That was a disgusting.
Well, pick any road game, and yes.
I guess, but this wasn't that.
True.
This is a home game with like I mean everything on the line.
Stakes.
To come out and play that way, I was truly, and you know me, brother, I don't get disgusted.
No, you don't get discouraged.
I was disgusted. I'm like, this is gross. I hate this basketball. This was awful to watch. This is just, I can't even wrap my head around some of the things that they're doing on this court. Draymond is out of control. Everybody's making bad decisions. I reject all of it. All of it. And then 1 minute later, you're like, oh, never mind.
They're back.
Everything's fine.
Dubcon 3 is what they do. That third quarter.
It's ridiculous.
Something about that third quarter. And, I mean, you're right. The Draymond Green part of it was he was so out of control. And I think I said on our show thread, well, he's not going to play this whole game. I didn't think that he was going to last the game.
How could you in that moment? In the second quarter, it was like he's getting tossed. It looked like he wanted to get tossed.
Totally.
It was like, if the refs aren't here to yell at, then Kerr, I'm just going to yell at you. And hey, you assistant that no one even knows. Bleep you too. I thought he was going to head up into the stands and start yelling at people. Like, oh my gosh.
He was mad.
Totally. All right, 888-957-9570. Hey, Moose in San Jose. You're on with Willard and Dibs. What are you doing, Moose?
I'm actually sitting here eating some kebabs at my lunch break right now.
Rock on, man.
Nice.
So I wanted to call in. Dibs. First of all, as the resident station ref, I'm not surprised that you're saying Draymond is a quote-unquote dirty player, but I do think that that's more of a depiction of like the league as a whole being, I hate to say it's soft, but we all know that this is a soft league. I mean, I don't want to make this about the double tech thing, but the double tech thing just alone tells you how it is. They're basically saying, hey, none of that here, guys. And what are you telling people? Hey, take the emotion out of the game. Running up and down on a court at 100 miles an hour, there's plenty of emotion in this game. I mean, it just makes absolutely no sense. And then when you use things like LeBron stepping over Draymond as an example of him being dirty, a guy gets baited into an act, and then his reaction is now called dirty. I think that's just – I don't think that's a great way to think about it. Everything that he's done has been within the manner of the game. Even the kicking of Steven Adams. He's going up for a layup.
Right.
His leg happens to retract out and hit a guy in a private area. In no way is he going out of his way to hurt somebody or challenging a player. The only thing I would say is the punch. The punch doesn't look good. And then when you see it on camera, it kind of paints the picture of what everybody thought Draymond may have been prior. But look, when it comes to basketball, he's about his game. There's a reason why he's got 4 rings. So whether they were going to lose that game by 20 or end up winning by 17, 16, whatever they did, the guy brought 4 rings to this team, and it doesn't matter which way it comes. The guy works hard for this team, and it's for basketball. It's not to show up a guy and show how tough he is. I've never once thought Draymond comes out to play basketball to show other people how tough he is. He comes out there to win a basketball game. If he's showing how tough he is in the middle of that, that's just because no one else is ready to take the heat.
Thanks, Moose. I appreciate the call.
Moose.
And I would disagree on just a couple points. The one about LeBron, yes, I understand that when you are stepped over in that fashion, LeBron basically intentionally put his genitals on Draymond's head. Now, how you react in that moment is defensible in many ways. Unfortunately, Draymond already had a bunch of flagrant points to where that cost him the ability to play. The Steven Adams one I disagree with because Draymond actually said after the game, this is what I do naturally in my shooting motion. Show me one other time after that Draymond has ever done that as a part of his shooting motion.
Look.
Basically, Mark, that was a situation where that is not a part of his shooting motion. And I would say to you, Moose, go and look at the Draymond Green tackling Beasley video. I have it up right now. The Warriors are losing to Houston. The game has been decided. Draymond's in the back court. The ball's in the front court. Draymond double wraps Beasley from behind, picks him up off the ground, and throws him to the floor. So if you want to talk about like what Draymond's done, we can all pick and choose our incidents. Draymond has done things in the past that are dirty.
Well,
facts.
No, not facts, because I disagree.
I'll show you this clip right here.
Right, but I disagree that it's dirty, so therefore it's not facts. By definition, it's an opinion, and that's fine. Again, I have a different definition of dirty. Dirty to me is seeking out injury. Seeking out or taking liberty with injury. That's my definition.
Sure.
You can disagree with that. That's great. Doesn't matter.
No, I'm kind of with you on that.
Yeah,
but when you punch a guy in the groin, that's not intentionally seeking out injury?
If you ask me if what he did to Jordan Poole in training camp was dirty, yeah, but that's not within the framework of an NBA game. I don't know what the hell was going on there. That was personal. is actually the word that I would use. I don't know what the hell was going on. I don't know what led to that exchange. I also don't want to get too deep into the weeds of like, what word do we want to use? Is it dirty? Is he an instigator? Draymond Green is somebody who is a complete and total live wire. Everybody's got one of these people in their lives. And sometimes it's about big things and sometimes it's about small. But it's about handling frustrating things that come your way. I got a buddy who for years we could not get through a round of golf without losing him. Can't do it. Could not get through a round without having an absolute tantrum because he couldn't handle hitting the ball the wrong way. Like he just couldn't do it.
I know that guy.
It's just total tantrum. Draymond Green, in an NBA sense, and maybe in all of the senses, that's who he is. I'm not saying that we have to just roundly accept it, but it's hard to reject it when you do see the results. Plus, give me this. Don't you think it's genuine? Don't you think that that's who he is? Or do you think...
Oh, no, he's not a faker.
Or do you think he is like, all right, here's what I'm going to do on the next play. I'm going to actually try to shoot the ball and do something weird with my leg. So I'm going to hit the big guy right in the you-know-what. Like, right, isn't it?
I'm looking at a still of it right now.
It's reactive,
right?
If
you're out there at your desk, just Google dirtiest plays of Draymond's career. There are 26 things that pop up.
Great.
So you could say that he's not dirty, your opinion. I could say that he is dirty,
sure.
My opinion. I'm just looking at all of these plays that are considered dirty,
right? But
it's hilarious.
But is it taking liberty with injury? Or is it...
It depends on what you consider to be injury.
Yeah.
Kicking another man in the groin is not the same as smashing a player in the head as he's driving in for a dunk.
Correct.
I will agree with you.
Correct.
Both are likely to inflict some measure of injury. Now, is
pain.
Well, depending on the genital strength of the inflicted.
Well, how about, and I know you love this, how about if we go to the tail of the tape? How many people have missed games because of any of the dirty plays that you're watching?
Well, I'd have to look at all these incidents.
Steven Adams miss any games?
Steven Adams has iron nuts, Mark.
Okay.
You know that.
LeBron James miss a game?
No,
Pretty
because
sure he didn't.
Draymond might have missed in his attempt to hit LeBron's genitalia.
Beasley miss a game?
I'm not sure if he did, but
Herb Jones playing tomorrow?
We'll have to wait and see. He could be load managed. Does that make it okay?
No.
You're making it seem like you're saying that that's okay.
No, I'm not. Again, that's a different question. This is about how we're labeling it, right?
Right.
That's my definition of dirty. I don't think that this guy, he's doing things within the framework of play that are totally pushing the line, maybe over the line. However, is he or is he not being rewarded for this behavior? If you're a parent, you know how this works, okay? You know how it works. If the kid talks back and you give him dessert anyway, you're rewarding the behavior, okay? Actually, here's a better example, because I remember this one from a handful of years ago.
See if it's on the list here. I'm going through the list, and this is hilarious.
You got a kid at Target, okay? You're there because you need cleaning supplies, but you got to bring the kid with you, and every parent knows, real dangerous to bring the kid with you to Target because that usually equals about $127.
It depends.
You better be careful.
Depends on the parent.
Kid ends up over at the toy aisle. Dad, can we get a couple of toy cars today? No, that's not what we're here for. Well, right then and there, you've made your decision. Today, the answer is no. Sometimes it should be yes, but today, the answer was no. Long story short, kids end up in a puddle on the ground crying and screaming and making a scene and embarrassing you in front of all of the other targeters.
Yeah.
What happens if I give them the car? You're rewarding poor behavior.
It's bad parenting.
So you don't give them the car. Draymond, does he get rewarded for this behavior? I would contend yes. The Warriors rallied back.
Right.
You point out that the refs won't throw him out of the game. They start tapping down what they're going to call. He's winning rings. He is being elevated. Hey, Draymond, you yell so much, you should have your own podcast. How about the Volume Sports Network builds its entire platform around you. He is rewarded for this behavior.
Yeah.
And then the next night we want him to stop. It's not going to happen.
I don't necessarily want him to stop. I'm just not going to gloss it over like some people and say, "Oh, that's just good hard basketball."
But that's what we're doing.
Dirty is dirty. It's not what I'm doing.
But it is
I'm calling
what we're doing.
it out. I'm calling it out for what it is.
You want him
It's
off
dirty
the tee?
play. No, I'm just simply pointing out that it's dirty play and that he's very lucky that he was not thrown out of the game for an act in a vacuum that was a flagrant foul. And they huddled about it, and I don't know what New York said or what they said to New York and Secaucus in terms of what the discussion was, but when you do what he did after he runs over a guy, fine, you run him over, offensive foul, it's basketball, but after the collision, he spills onto the player and intentionally wraps his legs, my opinion, wraps his legs around the player, and the player obviously felt that same way because he got up angry because Draymond Green's feet.
His name's Herb.
It wasn't Herb.
Oh,
it was a different player.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So
wasn't?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I was looking at
thought it was Herb.
the game log.
Yeah, I could be wrong.
No, Draymond Green. He ran over somebody else.
Who was it? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Anyway, go ahead.
Point being, in a vacuum, I think that's a flagrant foul, but because he already had a flagrant, they didn't throw him out of the game. So I'm just simply pointing out how lucky he is to not have been thrown out of the game. And I'm looking at this list, and this list is hilarious of all of the acts that he's committed. It's a flying drop kick to James Harden. It's a throat punch to a 19-year-old Dante Exum. It's another shot to the face of James Harden. It's a long list, Mark. It's more than just the ones that we've highlighted here.
No, I know. But again, if we're going to get caught up in the label, if we're going to get caught up into whether or not he gets positive reinforcement for this, because you keep saying he's lucky, but then you're also saying he approaches it purposefully this way. He knows once he's got a tech.
Oh, he's a genius.
So then it's not lucky.
He's a genius.
It's not lucky. It's crazy like a fox.
He's lucky in that no player has really clapped back at him in the fashion I'm sure that some would want to clap back. Number 12 on the list is an eye gouge onto LeBron James in 2018. There's just so many on this list that are hilarious. It's like the greatest hits of dirty plays by Draymond Green. My words.
Your word.
Dirty plays.
Your word.
You don't think that he's dirty. I think that he's dirty.
That's fine. Zach in San Jose, next up here on Willard and Dan. Hey, Zach, what are you doing?
How you doing, guys? I'm just here at work, shuttle driving for Google up and down Shoreline past the sporting page.
Rock on, man. What do you think?
I'd have to probably agree with Dibs. I think dirty is dirty. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the way how hard Draymond plays, but dirty is dirty. I mean, sometimes it's intentional. Sometimes I think it's unintentional. Like when he went Rocky on LeBron James's testicular speed bag, that was a reaction. I kind of think that was unintentional. So. But when he wants to go Gregory Hines on the kid's face, yeah, that's intentional. So I do think he gets away with a lot of stuff. But that's my take on it. I just want to say I love the new time slot you guys are in. My nephew gets to listen to you guys too. I pick him up at 2:00, and he always says, "Uncle, are you going to listen to Willard and Wibbs?"
Can we steal that?
He's got a slight little case of dyslexia that he's working through, and
it's all right.
He kind of gets sad on it, but a lot of times I just kind of look at him and I go, "Hang in there, big guy. There'll be bright days ahead."
Oh, this is amazing.
Thank you.
That always cheers him up. So my 8-year-old nephew loves your show too, guys.
Thank you, Jimmy.
8 years old.
Tell him Wibb says hello.
Exactly.
The Wibber. That was so
Zach. That's incredible. We're borrowing that for sure.
No doubt, dude.
Dillard and Wibbs.
It's pretty funny.
2 to 6 every day, right here on 95.7 The Game.
It's pretty good.
Gosh, an 8-year-old who's into the show. That's not an easy nut to crack.
No,
but
future
we'll
P1.
Take it. That's right.
We absolutely will.
Outside the demo, but you're welcome here. All are welcome here.
It was Cutler who he rat-a-tat-tatted. And shout out Gregory Hines, the Gregory Hines reference. Rest in peace. one of the great dancers.
Cutler. Who the hell's Cutler?
Maybe that was the ref who called it.
I was going to say, I'm looking at the box score right now.
No one named Cutler?
They don't have a Cutler.
Must have been Jones then. I'm looking at, maybe it's Cutler who made the call.
Am I wrong? Wasn't it Jones? It was Jones,
one of the various
right?
Joneses?
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, it was Jones or Smith.
Oh, my fault.
Miller.
They have the referee who made the call in parentheses.
Only Dibs would go to a box score
where they have
and
the
be
ref
like,
names.
"It was Cutler. Who's Cutler? The
Jay
ref."
Cutler?
Yeah, no, it was not the ref.
My fault.
Thank you. Jimmy B in Fremont is next up on Dilly and Wibby. Hey, Jimmy, what are you doing?
All right, guys, how are you?
We're fantastic, man.
Hey.
Can't you tell?
Hey, I'm loving the show. Hey, I'm a 60-year-old that acts like an 8-year-old, if that counts for anything.
counts. We'll score it.
You're cut from our cloth, Jimmy. Welcome.
Hey, there you go. I'm totally a juvenile and immature and all that stuff.
Yeah, let's go.
All right. But anyway, the reason I was calling is, Mark, I don't know if I agree with you about Draymond. I wouldn't compare it so much to a parent. I would look at this like it's a war. And you got certain guys that are good at certain things. You know, you got a sharpshooter, and you got somebody sometimes that has to take that hand grenade and run through everything. That's Draymond. And he's our guy, and he's been like that for 10 years, so we're riding with him.
Yeah, Jimmy, I don't disagree with any of that. I guess my comparison to dealing with a kid is this. Do you feel that Draymond Green, for all of his escapades on the court, you want to use the word dirty, instigate, whatever it is, with all the things that he does, do you believe that he gets positive reinforcement for them?
Oh, totally.
Okay, then he's going to keep doing it. Right?
I love the eye gouge. Come on.
Which one? Which one? Because I'm looking right here in the top 26. There's the James Harden eye gouge. The 2019 playoffs, he had contusions and swelling, but that's not dirty because he didn't miss any games.
No.
But he also suffered a lacerated eyelid from one of his fingernails.
Yeah, but hold on.
But that's not
Without
dirty.
even seeing the highlight, you're making it sound like he just walked down the street and went click, 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 and brought 5 nails out and went after the
Straight
guy's
Wolverine.
eye.
Then there's the 2022 playoffs.
That's not what happened. That's not what happened.
I mean, he happened to poke Nikola Jokic's eye as well. He's a serial eye poker, and you want to defend it.
But my point is there was nothing that led to that. He's just walking down the street, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's Nikola Jokic. Pow! I'm going to poke you in the eye.
What a coincidence that you happen to be a guy who pokes people in the eye on the regular. I mean, who could have seen that coming?
I'm not here to tell you that Draymond doesn't go over the line, as I've said a number of times.
You just won't say that he's dirty.
No, I won't, because I don't believe that he is. And you're over here giving highlights as if Draymond just does this stuff without anybody poking at him.
Just every season.
I mean,
just every year. That's all.
I think that's a bunch of
I'll send you the link.